Okay, I will start from this pragmatic planning only, and this is the last topic of your unit number 3. So what is this pragmatic planning? So in this topic, what we have to see, we have to talk about the good planning and how it will affect our complete development of the software, and from customers point of view how much this planning is important, and from developers point of view how much this planning is important. Those two kind of scenarios you have to discuss in this topic. So even though good planning is more dynamic and iterative process, doing it accurately is far easier. While executing any iteration n of any phase, software project manager must be monitoring and controlling against a plan that was initiated in n-1 iteration and must be planning for iteration n plus 1. So it is very simple to understand that if we are working on, suppose in any particular phase there are 3 iterations. Iterations, let me remind you, they are nothing but the cycle of the activities. Once we are performing all the activities, requirement gathering, designing, implementation, your testing, maintenance, and then you are giving it to customer, that completes one cycle. You take feedback and then you start another cycle, that is iteration number 2. So in this way iteration goes on, and it depends on the size of the project how many iterations are required for which phase. So meaning of this is that for any particular iteration, suppose I am working on iteration number 1, then the software project manager, he must monitor the iteration number 0, what are the plan, or what are the things that were being initiated in iteration number 0, and then he must be planning for iteration number 2. So it is like for iteration number 1 you have to first check what you have done in iteration number 0 and what you are planning for iteration number 2. So previous iteration and future iteration, in that way you can say. Next, so for this one, the art of good project management is to make a comparison in the current iteration plan and the next iteration plan based on the objective results in the current iteration and the previous iteration. So obviously we always expect to have updated results or fruitful results in the upcoming iterations, okay, as compared to previous iterations. And aside from bad architectures and misunderstood requirements, inadequate planning is one of the most common reasons for project failure. So this thing we are checking up from starting itself in this subject, that if you are not planning your project properly, then it will for sure affect the result in the end. Okay, conversely the success of every successful project can be attributed in part of good plan. Another thing that you have to remember over here is that this particular topic, it carries some of the important things that you have to remember. Like from the SPPM's perspective, there are 2-3 things that we have to keep in our mind for the development of the software, like your planning, requirement gathering, your architecture development. These 3 things play really important role. But from customers point of view, if you will see that they are not very important once they have been produced. They are really used by the performance on the daily basis. Which ones? Planning for the complete project, requirements, and the architecture. Customers, they are not very much interested into these things. Okay, they just want their complete project which should work, which should give them failure-free operation. I hope I am making my point clear. So right now I'm talking about the customer's point of view, and their representations are just like a, it is like a with respect to the working details which are required for the development, not for the complete release. Okay, so while planning a document not useful at the item, but it is extremely important for the project success. Yes, you can say okay, these things are important things for the background purpose or the you can say ki on the front end you are not going to present it to the customer, and customer is not having much interest in these things, planning, requirement gathering, architectures. Obviously what they will do with all of them, finally the end users who are going to utilize these things, they just want the product or the project to be to work in an efficient manner and to solve their purpose, what they are expecting from that particular software or any tool. Okay, but they play crucial role in project success because they provide framework functions for making efficient decisions, to ensure buy-in for the part of the stakeholders, and to transform the subjectivity and process frameworks into objective processes. So basically without proper planning, without proper requirement gathering, without a good architecture, your development of the software will be like a clueless where you are heading towards. So if you are not working on these two three things properly, then it can lead you to the failure of the project. So it relates to this line also, which is written over here: bad architectures, inadequate planning are the most common reasons for project failures. So from developers point of view, from customers point of view, things can be different, and things, yes, they are different. Okay, so that is your pragmatic planning. That's why it is being said that pragmatic planning is required. The planning that you are doing should be good. And another thing, this term pragmatic we have seen earlier also. So the meaning of pragmatic means ki dealing things practically rather than theoretically. So in a realistic world, in real time projects, handling real time projects, what are the situations that can occur? So that you have to talk about in this pragmatic planning. Okay, so with this one, this topic is complete. Next, project organizations. From this point, your unit number 4 starts. And please correct me if I am on wrong topic, because as much I remember, we were on pragmatic planning only in last class. We have covered up this iteration planning processes: inception, elaboration, construction, iteration. This particular theory relates with this diagram. This diagram I have shown to you: inception, elaboration, transition. These four phases are there, how they are divided into this particular diagram. Okay, next, project organizations. Now in this project organizations, what things we have to do, what we have to study, organize projects, and how this organization play crucial parts, what are the important factors that you have to remember for the organization of the project. After that, we have to see the responsibilities that are to be given in the organized project. Those things we have to check. After that, how these organizations evolve, and I think that will be enough for this one. So we'll start it one by one, and up to unit number 3. If you are having any doubts, if you feel like any topic is to be repeated, please message me, discuss with me, because very soon your mid exams will also happen for your 4-1. Yes, so it is just like you don't lose your continuity with the subject. Okay. Project organization. So in this topic, what we have to see, like the software's lines of business and the project teams, they have different motivations, and they are motivated by, like you can say, the software lines of business is motivated by the profit, any new business discriminators, any profitability, diversification, market strategies. Those are the concerns for the software lines of business. But project teams who are actually working on the projects, they are motivated by the budget, schedule, quality of the deliverables, what kind of quality they are going to deliver. And next one is software professionals in both types, like in both of them, they are continuously motivated by career growth and job satisfaction. So in this project organizations, why the organization of the project and the complete structure of the company in what level they are working, that really plays crucial part, and at what level which member is doing what work and how they are doing that work, that also affects a lot the development of the software. So these organizational structures, they form basically the architecture of the teams. Like upper one can be your management, complete management. After that, your the management has taken up some projects, project one, project two, project three. Under those projects, the managers have been assigned or team members have been assigned. In this way, the hierarchy, in that hierarchy only, every organization or most of the organizations work. Designation names can be different, but the work is somewhat similar only. Okay, so these software professionals, I have said to you that growth and job satisfaction plays really crucial part. And another thing is they have different kinds of focus for their work. um, like I told you, for your software lines of business, for the profit part, market strategies. For the project teams, it is budget, schedule, quality. Now in this particular topic, we have to describe this organizations for the line of business and for the project. These two things we have to discuss separately, that we'll see topic by topic, one by one we'll move to it. And overall generalized organization of the project, that I will show to you what is it. So this organization of a project. So here it is like a project coordinator and the training coordinator and administrator. If they are having any work together, so they work parallelly. Provincial coordinators, which are having some field coordinators under them. So in this way, this is a simple example of any project. And in spite of project coordinator, it can be like your manager also, under which the complete team can be working. Training coordinator can be working, and another developers, designers, they will be working. So in this way, complete architecture or organization of the project can be divided. So this is just a simple example. I have not taken it from your book. Just I want to show you organization. So if you are not able to remember this kind of structure that I am showing to you, you can make your own structure also, project structure, project organization, to show any simple example under this topic. This is also one another example in which senior management has been shown on the upper level, and project 1, project 2 is being given to the team, for which the engineering team is separate, marketing is separate, operations are separate. In this way, this complete organization has been shown. So if you are talking about the organizations, companies, industries who are working on these kind of projects, so yes, kind of similar kind of structures they can provide. It depends what kind of designations they are providing to people, and what kind of levels they are following. Okay, so like in our college structure also, you can put down any college structure, you can put down, okay, upper one is the management, under which principal, deans, HODs, they work, and there are different departments, and department wise they have been divided. So there are some advantages and disadvantages of these kind of organizations. Advantages can be your effective inter-project communication. If the architecture, if the organization is done properly, it will be easy to do the communication with different project teams. Unity of command, so that also happens. And what do we say, disadvantages can be your duplication of facilities. So it can happen if the projects are very large. Career path, uh, because the competition increases between teams, as many will be the teams in the organization. They will try to prove themselves to the management, and sometimes because of the defense avionics increases, and that's why this organization really is necessary. Some of the drawbacks have been shown, but that depends how you are handling the situation working under a team. Okay, so that is another thing. So these two slides I kept as an extra slides. If you are not able to remember, no need to cram these diagrams. I just have shown to you these two diagrams to make you understand about project organizations. That's it. Okay, then comes line of business organizations. So this one from here, basically you can say our topic starts, and your unit number 4, topic wise if I will say, then it starts from here. Okay, so this one, line of business organization, basically the figure that you are watching right now, there are some default roles and responsibilities in software line of business organizations that are being given, and like your organization manager has been shown, which is directly communicating with all the project managers also, and here parallelly some software engineering process authority is working, project review authority is working. So one by one we will see all of them, what are their roles and responsibilities and what they work. Before that, this organization of line of business, you can say it maps roles and responsibilities to the some default standards, and this structure specific circumstances, and there are some main features of the default organization. What are those features? Some points you have to remember, just as an introductory part you can remember for this topic, line of business organization. Okay, before that, one more thing, I have to download your attendance. 12. Okay, 12 are the participants, so I'm downloading attendance. Those who will join in last, they will be marked as absent only. Okay, so we will take it one by one. We have to see all the responsibilities one by one. So what I was telling you, there are some default features for there are some main features for this organization, default organization, and this organization is by default. If according to the project or according to another process framework, organization has to change it little bit, they can do that. So first feature is responsibility for process definition and maintenance is specific to the business, where process where the commonness in the process makes sense. The process should be uniform, first thing, and for example you can say the process for developing the software is different from the process used to develop some office applications. So that should not be there. It should be uniform. The process should be uniform. Okay. Next is responsibility for automation of the process. Basically, this is required whether you are utilizing any component based development, and the automation of the process plays really right now in the scenario in the market. This thing is very much in the trend for the modern practices, that process automation plays very important role, and it can really help to develop good softwares efficiently. So projects achieve process commonness primarily through the environment support with the common tools that they are utilizing. So that automation part should also be there. Next thing, third one that you have to remember is the roles and responsibilities in the organization. They can be fulfilled by single individual or different teams. So that depends on the size of the projects and the scale of the organization. So like you can say a 20% software product company may require only a single person to fulfill all the roles, while 10,000 person company may require 100 of people to achieve effective software organizations. So on the basis of the scale of the organization, those roles and responsibilities should be given. If it is a small organization, maybe single-handedly they can handle several things. If it is a very big organization, large projects are there, then maybe it require more manpower. So first I told you is about the process definition, where process commonness is to be kept. Second one, I told you about process automation. Automation for the process is very much required. And next one, I told you about your organization roles and responsibilities according to the scale of organization. Okay, remember these points. So on the basis of all these things, line of business organization is being done. Now we will see one by one through this figure what we have to study. So first one, focus all the process improvement should be the main rules for this software engineering process authority. So we will see them one by one. What is this software engineering process authority? So this is also called as SEPA, SEPA, Software Engineering Process Authority abbreviation. It facilitates the exchange of information and process guidance both to and from project practitioners. This role is accountable to the organization general manager for maintenance of the current assessment of the process maturity of the organization and its plan for future process improvements. So here this SEPA must help to initiate and periodically check the processes of the project. Okay, according to this here process definition and your information, those things, and the improvement in the process, that's why they become the crucial part for the SEPA. So this authority, the work of this authority is to work on these things. Another thing is that this SEPA plays a necessary role in any organization because it takes on responsibility for the definition of the process and its maintenance, modification, any technological advancements, insertion of any new technology. So this SEPA can be like your single individual, any one person if there is a very small organization, or it can be the your complete team, even a team of representatives also you can say. 2-3 people are there in a SEPA team and they are maintaining, they are working on these things. So now you can understand what we were talking about here. So this one part, first authority in the business organizations is for software engineering process authority. The main work is to check the definition of the process, to maintain it, to track the advancements, to track the improvements in the processes and work on them. So this SEPA must truly be an authority because they are powerful. They are not at a staff position. Um, they are having some authority to take efficient decisions, crucial decisions. Okay, so that's why this first authority plays having organization. Project review authority, and project review authority, the main part is being shown over here is project compliance and periodic risk assessment. So this risk assessment means handling the risk, and compliances I will show you. So we will discuss this one, project review authority. Now, what is this project review authority, commonly called as PRA? It is a single individual responsible for ensuring that software project complies with all organizational and business unit software policies, practices, and standards. So here the crucial part becomes that all the practices and your standards have been maintained properly or not, that is to be checked. That is being done by this single individual called as project review authority. Okay. Software project manager is responsible for meeting the requirements of a contract or some other project compliance standard and is also accountable to PRA. So this project manager can play this role, and this PRA, it reviews both the, like you can say, any obligations are there, contractual obligations are there or not in the for the project, or any another policy obligations related to project organization. Those things are to be reviewed by PRA. And customer monitors the requirements and that has been completed or not, milestones being deliverables, according to budget it is being developed or not, and whether all the risks have been handled or not. All these things have to be checked by the customer, monitored by the customer. So this PRA reviews those customer commitments also, as well as any problems in the organizational policies, deliverables, any financial performance problems, or any another risk or accomplishment related problems. All these things are to be checked by project review authority. I hope I'm making my points clear. If in between you want to ask something, you have to discuss something, and you are not willing to unmute yourself, then you can message also. So see, right now the strength is 14, and I think 2 students have joined in last. So for them I will not provide attendance. Okay. Okay, next one. So after these two authorities, Software Engineering Environment Authority is the next one, where the focus comes on the automation of the process. So we'll see this one. What is it? Software Engineering Environment Authority, also called as SEEA. This authority is responsible for automating the organization's process and maintaining the standard of the organization environment, project trainings to utilize that environment, and environment in the way whenever this environment term comes up for the organization purpose, that means your tools and techniques that you are utilizing. Okay. And maintaining any reusable assets. Okay. So this SEEA role is necessary to achieve a significant profit for a common process. So obviously that is our main purpose while working in the organizations, our benefits, processes, our growth in career, our job satisfaction, that play really important role. So these tools, techniques, trainings, they can be efficiently or effectively should be done by this SEEA authority. Okay, and this authority only is responsible for supporting and administrating the standard environment on the according to the your process. And in many cases what happens, the environment may be like your customized or it can be modified, but existence of 80% of the default solution for every project is critical to achieve the organization's process and a good profit on the investment. So something, and how to utilize the environment tools and techniques properly, and these tools techniques, how to organize training sessions, whether they are giving fruitful results or not, all those things have to be taken care of by this authority of Software Engineering Environment Authority. Okay, next one is your infrastructure. Last authority is our infrastructure. So this authority of infrastructure, so we'll just complete this one. We are having 2-3 minutes. See, What the work of this infrastructure authority? Basically, organization's infrastructure provides your human resource support, the resources for the development of the project, project independent research and development, or any another capital software engineering assets. And the infrastructure for any software line of business can range from um, small to highly enriched. Okay, that depends what kind of resources you are utilizing and how much you are providing to your people. So the typical components for the organization structures can be: first your project administration, second one is your engineering skill centers, and third one is your professional development. So these three becomes the typical components for the organization infrastructure. So I will not go into much detail now. We are almost done with this topic of line of business organizations. So this project administration means your accounting system, your contracts, your pricing, terms, conditions, corporate information system integration. All these things will come under the administrative part. Engineering skill centers, your custom tool repository, maintenance, proposal support, bid support, independent research and development. All these things comes under the engineering skill centers. Professional development is internal training camps, personas recruitment, personas skill database maintenance. So that is professional development. Literature and assets library, technical publications, all these things will come under the professional development. So that gives a good infrastructure. Okay, and all these things, if they will be on place, that will give a good organization to the complete line of business, you can say. And then comes on the project manager, A, B, C, D, and D. Different project managers, as many projects are there, according to which the managers have been allotted and teams are working. Okay, so I think that's it.